Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships, so we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashley.
And welcome back to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we talk about dating, love, life, relationships, and everything else in between. And we have a show for you based on your responses from our Dating and Relationship Gurus 2-part episode.
Yeah. Apparently some of you weren't the biggest fans of what we had to say, which I understand that sometimes when you hear the truth about things, it bothers you. So we decided that we were going to do something a little different for you this week.
What we're going to do is, since we had so many questions on if pickup artists and the Dating Guru courses are even worth looking into, well, here are the facts that I have found from actually working and being in that field. There are coaches that are only good at showing theory. Most of them, that's all they show is theory, meaning all you do is sit in the audience and you're going to listen for hours. They're never going to take you out and show you in real life, in the real world, how to apply what is being said, let alone in your own city.
Right.
Yeah, if you're sitting there and you're listening to something in the Bahamas and you live in New York or you live in Mumphy, Alabama, it's actually a place.
Sounds like a place that would be in Alabama. I was going to say, that sounds real.
So you learn it in the Bahamas, or you learn it in Los Angeles, or you learn it in New York. You go back home, personalities are different, situations are different, everything is different. So how to take what you learned in the Bahamas for $83,000 to Mumphy, Alabama with population 682.
Right. Like, literally, it's a fraction of the price that you're paying. That's hilarious, by the way. You could literally give everyone there, like $2,000 or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least $1,000. You could literally give everybody $1,000. But regardless, here's the thing. It's hard to translate. And the reason is because, and this is where I'm not a fan of the saying, but those who can't do teach. Because it's like with anything. You can have a teacher who learned everything, who has the knowledge. But when it comes to practical application, you need somebody who's actually gone out there, tested these theories, done them, made them work, killed the game at it, like us.
Yeah, but I want to focus on the pickup artist area. And this does apply to the dating and relationship gurus that are out there. You have the ones that are only good in one area. You have the ones that are really good in attraction. You have the ones that are really good in the approach, or maybe the comfort area. And you have those who are really good at the seduction. But the ones who are, let's say, good in comfort, they can't approach worth a fuck.
Yep.
But once they get past that, if they get past it, they can show you how to build the comfort level. Or you get the ones that are really good at the approach, but they can't carry on conversation because their comfort section is crap.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. And if you get a coach that's only good in approaching, you won't learn effectively how to carry on a conversation, and everything goes even deeper than that. So before we actually get into a whole lot of this, because we'll go a little bit deep on you. Social psychology is what a lot of the pickup artists and the dating gurus base all their stuff in. Now, this is a basic science, meaning that the science is meant to understand a behavior and emotion and not directly influence it.
Right.
Yeah, so if you try to look up some kind of psychological finding, know-how manual on how to seduce somebody, you're not going to find it because it's not an applied science. Okay, so now there's the 3 basic phases that pickup artists and dating relationship gurus teach. And in general, these have been confirmed. They do kind of work. It's based in the social, physiological, and evolutionary psychology. Now, if you want to go look at this, I want to give it to you, so we're going to get geeky on you. It's published in Evolutionary Psychology. The author is Nathan Osta from the University of Western Ontario and Igor McLuskit from the Institute of Social Sciences of Evo Pilar. It's published back in December 2012. anyways, not that I got through that part. The methods that are used and they're based in the seduction world, they try to avoid the impression of any kind of threat or dishonesty that might lead to sexual encounters or relationships without any emotional involvement. Now, this is something I discovered way back when, is that the types of people that you're typically going to meet or you're going to pick up have this triad of traits. They're either narcissistic, they're Machiavellism, they've got psychopathy. And
so this is the dark triad, which is like, if you think of a human being and you're like, who is the worst human being in the entire world? They really do display this dark triad. It's something that is tried and true in psychology everywhere. I mean, it's really something you use to measure some of the darkest people in the world. That doesn't mean necessarily that there's bodies in everybody's basement who resembles the dark triad. It just means that these people usually are more concerned with getting theirs and not necessarily making someone happy.
Right. And if you really look at it, if you take a look at a pickup artist, like pretty much how I was becoming, which is pretty much narcissistic, meaning if you don't know what narcissism is, it's all about you and yourself. So I go out and let's say I became totally narcissistic. So I'm a narcissist. I go out and I pick up this girl. She's also a narcissist. So now you got two narcissists that are going out with each other. I'm using her to build myself up, and she's using me to build herself up. And we really don't care about each other. We just want to know that we look good together.
Yeah.
Talk about a relationship that's going to die a horrible death with probably plates flying across the room and somebody's going to the hospital. That's
yeah, or like someone just completely dips out of nowhere. Yeah, you're right. These kind of relationships are dangerous. Narcissist on narcissist relationships are, I would say, probably the most passionate in the beginning because everyone's trying to prove how great they are at love. And then when it does actually fall out, it's just a complete shit show. Because now you guys are just a battle of egos.
Right. Also, the types of women that I came across, it was good for me in the beginning because they had this high need for sex, but at the same time, they had a low self-esteem, a strong desire to be accepted into my group of people. And either they want to be dominated or they wanted to be told what to do 24/7. Is this okay? Can I wear this? No. Okay. Can I wear this? No. You're going to wear that. Okay.
Yeah. It's hard when you have someone like that. It speaks to, when you're younger, I'd say maybe early 20s and someone's like running by you, everything you do. And they give you that little feeling that you're like controlling them or they can't, live without you. And you're in that unhealthy mindset. Yeah, sure, it feels great. And then you get older and you're like, I'm weird. This was weird. Why?
And we're going to be getting into some of that stuff in some upcoming episodes. Because based on y'all's feedback,
there's a lot to say.
We've got a lot to say. Okay. So back to this whole study that was done. Now, what they found was that the basic teachings of a lot of these gurus and a lot of the pickup artists community, the seduction community, let's just wrap it all up into one, is everything focused on the negatives. You have the verbal techniques that they use. They use them to establish inequality in social status. Think back to negs. That's what those were. Even just a small look, a small use of your voice tonality, and how you're selecting words, the body shift, it creates an inequality between the person doing the pickup and the person being picked up. Because this goes both ways. There are pickup artists for women. So they show you how to overcome any inequality that the other person is also having. And then you actually reward them for coming back to you by showing affection and giving compliments, which is, by definition, manipulation.
It's all basic manipulation. I mean, that's completely manipulative. For a long time, the negging thing was like, it's almost like the playing too hard to get kind of thing. It's very, not just manipulative, it's exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Who the fuck wants to sit around thinking of negative things to say or doing all this crazy shit? Like, no one.
Yeah.
How about you just have an open and honest conversation with a human being?
And that's why so many of these coaches and their gurus and these teachings and methods, they don't work, especially in the long run. Because you can go out there and you can meet somebody, and you might have sex with them or hang out with them. It might be good for like a couple of days or a week or so. But eventually, you're going to run out of the scripts. You're going to run out of the routines. You're going to run out of all these little techniques that they're going to show you. And now what? Now, what are you left with?
Your personality.
Yeah.
And if you haven't worked on that, you don't even know who that is or what that is. So you're kind of screwed once all of that stuff runs out. Because now, let's hypothetically say you're not working on your personality. You're not working on self-development and doing better. Now, this person is looking for you in all of this, and they can't find you because you were never there to begin with.
Right. And more than likely, you're not going to be shown how they work or how to talk in the real world anywhere. Most of the time, they're going to take you out to a club at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So pretty much, for lack of better terms, you're going to get the leftovers. They're like falling over drunk and possibly high. So you're going to get all this success.
Where the hell are you hanging out, John?
Yeah. For my beginning student, when I was actually teaching this stuff in the real world, I taken down to the Gaslight District in San Diego right before the clubs are closing. Again, like an hour and a half, 2 hours to go in. And yeah, it was success after success. But
I bet.
Yeah. And they're like all pumped up. Hey, this shit works. Here's more money. Thank you. Now I can go buy my BMW.
Right.
But you take them out at 7 o'clock. The bars are just opening up and the club's just opening up. They're not haven't even ordered yet. Okay, see her, go get her. And it doesn't work.
7. I was thinking like 2:30 p.m. on a Starbucks on a Wednesday. See how good you are then, buddy.
Oh, no, it doesn't work.
Of course not.
Or you're going to sit there in some resort, sitting there for 8 hours, listen to some person up there on the stage pump you up and make you feel great. But everything is not based on empirical studies. It doesn't come from applied science. And everything is esoteric. So you're like, oh, that sounds great. That sounds great. Oh, yeah, I see how that works. But on the break, you're like, wait a minute. How's that work again?
Or when you meet someone and you're like going through all these steps in your head, you realize like it's like anything, you know, like you were a cop or you're in the military, they train you all you want. But when you get out into like the field, when you get out, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. Shit's different.
That's why they run you through real life scenarios and you get hit by those little paint rounds. This is not paintballs. This is like simulition. Yeah. This stuff fucking hurts. And yeah, you learn, don't turn the corner too fast. But anyway, I did something like really fucking crazy last Tuesday.
Crazy for him.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time since since this whole COVID lockdown, hurricane nonsense fucking happened. Because of everybody's feedback and they're asking all these questions, I started doing a deep dive into a couple of these more popular gurus and just kept running down the rabbit hole. And I clicked on this thing. It actually said, use this technique and you will have any person you want begging for your touch. Guaranteed.
Ugh.
You only had to use 3 steps. And it's based in, here you go, Pavlov's dog theory. So it's based on a theory. Now, you need to pay attention because they said guarantee that using this technique will have any person begging for you to touch them. Only 3 steps. So I wrote these steps down and I took off to Houston to a very big club. I've been there once or twice. Really don't go there very often. Now I'm going to test this guarantee. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I got there early, and I planned on, I was like, I can do about 6 hours because it's a 3-hour drive out there and a 3-hour drive back. So I'm spending 12 hours. I was like, okay. So I figured I'll do 3 hours to test their bullshit versus our stuff, the stuff that we teach.
By the way, if he would have told me that he was doing this, which I'm pretty sure he was just like, I'm not working tonight. I'm going to go do this. I would have gone to a club near me, and we would have done the same exact experiment. Mm-hmm. But John was bored, and I was probably asleep. So,
yeah, but I was like, oh, fuck it, I want to give this a try. I figured 3 hours for their stuff, 3 hours for our stuff is more than enough time to prove or disprove this guarantee. Okay, so this is what I did. I walk in, I do my thing. I've described it before. I walk into a club or a bar, something like that. I act like I fucking own the place. It doesn't matter. The very first person I see, I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? Doing okay? Good.
Hey.
So I'm going around and I'm just like, introduce myself. And what I realize is that this guarantee needs to be done after the approach. So I need to be in a conversational tone with them. in order for this thing to be pulled off. So I see this pretty hot girl, and I do my approach. She tells me she's there with her friends, and she hasn't seen them in a long time. They just want to catch up. And going through my head, I'm thinking, yeah, bullshit. You go to dinner to catch up. You go to your place to catch up. You don't get dressed up in a slinky dress and all dolled up, hair done, makeup done, and all this other stuff and go out to a club. So what I did was that I realized that she's giving me a test because she isn't leaving. She isn't creating a barrier between us. Her arms aren't crossed. She's not holding her beer between us. So she's open to what's going on. So what I do is, okay, that's cool. I said something about her necklace and whatever, and I turned. And before I can really move away from her, she invites me back and introduces me to her group of friends. Okay, so there's the whole intro part of it. So now I'm in this group. I refer to my notes, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is bullshit, but I wonder if I can get this entire group to beg for me to touch them.
That's weird. It's weird when you say it like that. There's got to be a better way, like, to word that, because that just sounds creepy, dude.
Yeah, I totally get it, but I'm just like, this. They guarantee this thing. I'm trying to put myself into, okay, what is this 21-year-old first year of, or maybe second year of college, and he's like, he wants a relationship. He wants these women, but what would look awesome to all of his buddies if he can get into a group of women and have all of them just, please touch me, touch me here, touch me here.
Yeah.
So that's the framework that I was trying to work with. I mean, I know it's fantasy, it's bullshit, but I was like, fuck it, let's see what happens. So I spent 3 hours talking to Melissa, Katie, Courtney, Caitlin, and Gigi.
Okay.
And I did tell them about the show after this whole interaction thing was done. I did tell them I was running an experiment. Okay, so what I did was I did exactly as the instructions said. At the high point of the conversation, you touch them. And then as that fades...
What kind of shit is that?
Yeah, but as that high point starts to fade, you remove your touch. And then you repeat it. And what this does is that, according to Pavlov's dog's theory and what this guru wrote, is that when you touch them at the high point, they get used to it. And when you remove your touch, eventually what they do is that they desire for that high point feeling again and again. It's total bullshit. But they said guaranteed.
That's creepy.
Yeah, they said guaranteed. So that's what I did. And towards the end of the time limit, I just flat out looked at all these women. I'm like, okay, seriously, do any of you feel an intense desire to be touched by me? And they're just like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay, I have a podcast. This is what we do. And I found this thing, and it says guarantee. And I was able to find it on my phone, so I showed it to them. See here, it says guarantee. They're like, that's stupid. I was like, I was just testing it because this is what we talk about. And they're like, no. I was like,
right. Absolutely not.
Yeah. It's a,
you're lucky you didn't fucking call the cops on you, dude.
No, but they got a huge laugh out of it. And we talked for about another 45 minutes before I actually told them, look, I need to test this other stuff against this to show this is complete bullshit. Yeah, Melissa, Courtney, and Gigi, they all wanted to be a part of it, but I said that's not going to work.
We already know we can't do it anymore, you know.
I can't do empirical testing if I have Group A also in Group B.
Group B,
it doesn't work. So they understood, and they're like, okay, we'll get back up and invite me back out. Anyways, that was hilarious. Okay, so the second part, I decided to run everything that we teach. Okay, first off, I don't use every single strategy.
That is exhausting.
Yes, it is a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to juggle. Normally, you only need like maybe 2 or 3 strategies, and that's all you'll ever need. And it's going to depend on the situation that you're in, the environment you're in, and the personalities that you're dealing with as to which ones you would actually use. But at the time, I thought, what the hell? This has been a wild friggin' night already, so fuck it, let's do it.
Why the hell not? Yeah.
Okay, so we headed up to the bar, and I see this other girl sitting there. Her name is Danielle. I caught her attention, I did the approach, and she told me she's there with a bachelorette party. And I'm like, I didn't know we were getting married. With that, I got introduced to a large group of women. I can't even remember all of their names.
I can't even imagine. Yeah, dude.
So really what I did was I only picked out like 3 of them that I was going to really interact with. That was Mia, Sarah, and Hannah. So once we got through all the small establishing introduction type stuff that we teach, such as why you're here, find out a little bit about them, what they want, where they're going, what their passions are, what this kind of stuff. Just normal talk. Once I got past that, I started to intentionally up the ante. Now, I wasn't there for anything else other than to test this guarantee versus what we have. And by the end of the time limit, I was getting away with stuff that if you wrote this stuff down on paper, I should have had a drink thrown in my face and the cops called.
Right. That's my entire life, really. Like, half of my life should be the cops should be called, but I get past this.
But the entire group was rolling right along with it. My only problem that I really had was Mia's friend, Lucinia, or Lucy as she liked to be called. She joined about halfway through. I really didn't think anything of it. I was just like, cool, let's see how this goes. And my critical error that I made was blending 3 separate conversational strategies together. Oh, fuck. Okay, so this is actually something I'm now including in our course. Do not blend these things together.
Do not.
Yeah, because by the end of the time limit, I was so tired and drained of juggling all of this stuff and trying to keep straight whose story was whose story and not mixing up that Mia went to the Houston University and Hannah went to Texas A&M and all this other stuff. Oh, fuck me. But Lucinia and Hannah both, they were really starting to work on my last nerve. And as I was trying to leave, I could not get rid of them. I literally turned around and got straight up rude, which I don't like doing. But I was like, get the fuck away from me. I have to leave. And they're just like, oh, you're so funny. No, I need to go. Oh my God. I mean, that's, So in a nutshell, there you have an illustration of the difference between so-called guarantees and what some of the other people are teaching, which is based in theory, and their guarantees are nothing more than bullshit. It's because the psychological discipline that they're used are not an applied science. Non-applied science only validates a tested theory. Okay. They don't actually apply anything. Anybody telling you any different, oh, this is a guarantee, they're lying to you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, we don't teach guarantees. The bottom line of the question was, what is the difference between what you guys teach and what we're learning here at this place, at this institute, at this resort, at this place? And I think the difference is there is no guaranteed result. And we teach you how to deal with the fact that, guess what? Not every time you walk up to a bachelorette party is everyone going to love you. There's always going to be Stacy brooding in the corner. But the beauty is... I did
have a couple of those, but she was actually already married. I didn't want to fuck around with that because I know that what I was going to run and the strategy I was going to use is she's married. That would have been totally wrong. So yeah, the Stacy over in the corner who I was like, you need to stay out of this, didn't understand. Now I tried.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is, who cares about Stacy in the corner? We're here to teach you that it's okay to get rejected. It's okay if someone walks away from you. It's okay if one strategy doesn't work and you have to go try another one. It is perfectly fine, but we're not going to sit here with you for 48 hours brainwashing you into thinking that this theory is going to actually work in the real world. That's the real difference, is we're giving you applicable things. I'm a big fan of, if we're going to take them out somewhere, aside from obviously the one night I really want to party, we're going to go out to a social setting that's not weird, that's not loud, that everyone's not drunk. You're going to actually have to be sober and vigilant to apply these skills.
Now, if the club environment is your type of environment, yeah, then we'll show you that. But if you're more of not a club type person, I go out to a club maybe once in a blue moon. But most of the time, I'm just traveling around the city. I'm going to Barnes & Noble. I'm going over to Target. I'm going to Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm going to work. I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to the gas station. That's where I meet my people. All of these women that I meet, that's where, and this is like During the day, maybe at night, I'm stopping Starbucks to get a cup of coffee, and I see this nice looking woman in front of me, and I start talking to her. Can you do that? Are you confident enough to do that? And if you're going to learn from somebody, the coaches that you learn from need to not only demonstrate to you the beginning, the middle, the end. They can't just show you just the middle. They can't give you theory for the beginning and show you the middle, and then hopefully you figure out what the end is.
Absolutely. That's the thing, is it's about different outcomes too. So we can teach you one beginning, one middle, and one end combination, depending on who you are as a person. Not everybody can cold approach, and not everybody can just close on a next date. Some people need a phone number and 2 weeks of texting before they can land that date. Some people will walk up and be like, hey, you want to go out with me? And then they'll be like, yep.
Yeah.
It's about learning who you are. And one of the biggest problems is they corral everyone into a room and give one strategy that's supposed to work. And that's not how it works. Dating is an individual game.
Yeah. And in the lecture style, at a bare minimum, you are missing the environment and the situation in which you are in. And then add in on top of that, you're in another city. And so you're missing a multitude of items when you return home and reality slaps you in the face, and the personality of the person and just the overall cultural personality of that area.
Right.
That's at a minimum. And if you're only learning clubs, I mean, that's an environment thing.
And then you're not even a club person. So you just spent all this money. And I cannot stress enough how one approach does not work for everyone. That's why if we do a large thing, we're going to know everyone who's there. Yeah. We're going to know who that person is. We're going to make sure that everything we tailor hits to at least everyone. It's not just going to be, if we see there's 10 people who like clubs, 5 people who like to go to coffee shop. We're going to have to work in both. If we see one extrovert who likes to go to coffee shops and one introvert that likes to go to clubs, we're going to have to somehow figure out that fucking combination. But we make sure that if you're spending a lot of money, shouldn't it be tailored? It's kind of like getting a suit or getting a wedding dress. When you're going to get a wedding dress and you're spending $25,000 on a wedding dress, do you want the one on the rack, or do you want the one where the lady has the safety pins jamming you in the side?
You can't learn just bits and pieces and expect it to work. And that's what a lot of pickup artist groups do. That's what a lot of these gurus do. Okay, well, here's this course here. It's only $895, but I need to also learn this over here. Well, that's another $895. Oh, and there's an add-on to this one, because this is just the basic stuff. But if you really want the good stuff, here's the add-on for another $2,000.
Right.
You can pick this, you can pick that, you can pick this, pick that, and just learn what you need to learn. And eventually, maybe somehow it's all going to come together and make sense for you. That's not what we're doing. That's why we're putting everything in one single course. And we're going to be talking about that in a future episode, because a bunch of you are asking, when is this thing going to release? Well, that blew my mind. I didn't realize that many people were waiting for it.
Yeah.
We're working as quickly as we can. Trust me. I mean, we've had some technical problems.
John broke our website.
Well, it really wasn't my fault. It said, click to update. So I updated, and then it crashed. We recovered it, but a lot of other things went wrong with it. But
no, it's all good. But seriously, I know you guys are waiting, and we want you to ask questions. And actually, the feedback is what we're always looking for. And that's what I want you guys to realize is we're always looking for that kind of feedback. If you say, even if it's like, you guys sound like liars, like, okay, why? And then we can make sure to address it. The amount of people who are very moved, I guess would be the word, by that last episode, it's good because now we know here's some things we have to include in the course. Here's some things we really need to focus on. This we can probably take a little bit of time out of. And here's something that absolutely needs to be done.
Yeah. Now, I do want to throw this part out because I know some of you probably listened to this. I didn't go home with anybody. I didn't ask for anything from them either. I didn't ask for a phone number or anything else. What's up?
I didn't even think about that. I didn't like.
Well, I'm pretty sure somebody's probably sitting there wondering, okay, who do you take home? No, I didn't do any of that. There's actually this other girl that I'm interested in, and we've been kind of going back and forth for a while. But that's another story. But I didn't want to risk that for something that I was just testing. But some of what I did, I would consider extremely advanced, and it requires a very good judgment of timing and delivery. We're actually going to talk about that in the next episode because a lot of you
Yay.
wonder how I take a platonic conversation and turn it into a more flirtatious or sexual one. And that is our next episode.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So with that, we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.